Today's show is a good example of why it's a good thing I'm not monetized. Hello, and welcome to Cory's Corner. I, of course, am Cory, so welcome to my corner. I'm dead freaking tired, so my brain might shut off just a little bit more than usual today. I haven't had a chance to get my workout in. It's been a busy morning, etc., etc. But whatever. It's fine. Oh my gosh. Anyway, yeah, today's show's definitely a good thing I'm not monetized because we're going to be talking about Nazis and we're going to talk about Florida man versus Hollywood man, and it's going to be an interesting time. If you'd care to support the channel, then make sure you hit that Ko-Fi link that's in the private chat, or not the private chat. See, there we go. In the live chat, that's what it is. And the description. Yeah. Vince says, just follow my example. Hail to Vince Womack. Yes, he earlier he was talking about the fact that he didn't do anything but sleep for 10 plus hours, and I have to put up with him today. And I'm fine with that, bro. Hail to Vince Womack. And of course, we have the wonderful Landrigan. Hello, Sean. Always good to see you here. One man show. Hail, greetings and salutations. Awesome to have you here, sir. Yeah. Some weird shit going on in the world, but Florida man has some competition with Hollywood man. And we'll get to that in a little bit because that's some funny and weird shit. Also, make sure you push that like and subscribe button. By the way, help with the engagement just a little bit. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Anyway, so I don't know how many of you pay attention to Argentina news, but I was browsing and came across an article from El Pai, I don't know. I don't speak Spanish, so whatever. Anyway, so apparently police arrest Argentina's biggest online distributor of Nazi propaganda and literature. The detainee printed and sold more than 300 titles on Adolf Hitler, Aryan ethics, anti-Semitism, and Holocaust denial from his family home in Buenos Aires. So, yeah. Argentina, the place where all the Nazis went after the fall of the Reich, has now arrested the biggest online distributor of Nazi propaganda in their country. Interesting times. Of course, this article is from Jose Pablo Criales. I'm assuming that's correct. I have no idea. But it's not something. Luckily, I only read the headline from the Hollywood man story. Oh, that's good. That's good. Was the person Adolf Hitler himself? No, even if it had, just saying if Hitler had survived all that shit, he would probably be dead now because that was a long time ago. I mean, shit, he would be like 100 at this point, some shit like that. I mean, a man who lived in the northern outskirts of Buenos Aires, wonderfully peaceful place there, right? Was operating as Argentina's largest Nazi material distributor from his family home, federal police announced Wednesday after an investigation lasting nearly 2 years. According to authorities who arrested the suspect after agents staged an undercover purchase operation, he sold more than 300 titles, including Nazi propaganda, works glorifying Adolf Hitler, Holocaust denialism, and World War II revisionism through various websites. Hail to Shawnee Step. Another Sean joins the chat. Some father named their son that. Yeah, I'm not surprised. Not surprised at all. So they launched the investigation in 2021 following a complaint from the delegation of Argentine Israelite associations stating, "We received a complaint about a website that disseminated anti-Semitic content online," says Police Commissioner Fabian Villagra. Villagra? Fabian Viagra, head of Terrorist Investigations Unit of the Argentine Federal Police. The investigation lasted more than 2 years. Initially, we had a username to which we managed to put name, surname, and identifying documents. Then we arrived at the person's home where the material was being printed. The man, who has not been identified, had been distributing the books on Mercado Libre, the largest online trading platform in South America. His account was terminated. When his account was terminated, he continued through a web page of his own. So yep, there's some of the materials that he had. So this guy literally was printing. So yeah, we'll just skip down to this part. During the raid in the municipality of San Isidro, in a wealthy northern suburbs of Buenos Aires, authorities seized 222 books and 140 covers of unprinted copies, and 2 office printers. So he's printing all these books and distributing them in his home. And these included things like Mein Kampf and the recruitment manual, The SS Calls You. And they also found a wide variety of titles from 20 different publishers, ranging from the Holocaust denial and bombing of Guernica. Told you my brain was broke today, but anyway, Nazi Germany and Francisco Franco's nationalists in Spain, to apocryphal biographies of American automobile magnate Henry Ford and anti-Jewish Argentinian pamphlets and stuff. Yeah. Of course, they had the normal Nazi symbols and shit on them. He said, dropped that article and killed it. Okay. I will check that out in just a moment. So the Library of Argentina will no longer receive orders from customers, but many of its books are circulating through word of mouth. And of course, this talks about how people communicate and go out and find this shit in Argentina. But I just thought it was really cool that Argentina actually stepped up and did something about someone being stupid. Especially given their past regarding Nazis fleeing there. It's a good thing that they've made such a big step towards stopping this kind of crap, because I'm not a big fan of censorship. Anyone who knows me knows that. But when it boils down to it, this kind of garbage doesn't need to be circulating. And yeah, to any of the Jewish people watching on replay, because it's Saturday and you're probably not watching live, this should be a win for every single Jewish person. And now that we've talked about some good stuff, we'll move on to something. Can I get rid of that? Man, I wish I had the program that blocked pop-ups from websites inside. Oh, no, that's not the right article. I clicked on the wrong one. Whoopsie daisy. Did I mention I was tired? Just saying. All right. Let's jump over to this one and check that out, shall we? Yeah, that's the right one. Okay. So now that I've sorted the article issue out. He says Brave browser does that for you most of the time. Yeah, I'm using Brave, and it just didn't because it's built in. It was built into the website, but I was on the wrong website to begin with, so it doesn't really matter. It's all good. So apparently, was this published? This was 2016. Okay. So apparently, back in 2016, a white supremacist father who named his son Adolf Hitler and his daughter Eva Braun opened up in documentary about Fuhrer namesakes and how he got sick of being treated like garbage. Well, you shouldn't you shouldn't act like garbage and name your children Adolf Hitler and Eva Braun, you fucking moronic piece of shit. A person makes a person, the name doesn't. Well, if you're raising them to be Nazis, then that just kind of makes you a piece of shit. Good. This guy has had all of his children taken away since 2008. Good. Fuck that guy. Straight up. You know, I'm not advocating violence when I say this, but I spent most of my youth being raised by both the general media and most other people in the world believing that the only people you could, like, kill without any type of remorse would be Nazis. But, you know, whatever. Hail to Lester San Jose, the Skeptic Tank. How you doing, bro?
Hey, I'm doing all right on a Saturday morning. I was doing Culture's member stream, and I was running into all sorts of crap. And yeah, I got to participate some, but then I said I will hang out until I got a chore. So that'll be, I don't know when I'll chore, but my Saturday is still young.
Hell yeah. Well, welcome to the show. We just talked about the fact that Argentina arrested the country's largest distributor of Nazi propaganda and anti-Semitic materials. So that's a huge step for the old safe haven, you know?
Yeah.
Because I think most people realize that the Nazis ran to Argentina pretty quickly. But, you know. As I said earlier, though, it's a good thing I'm not monetized because we're also going to be talking about some other stuff that YouTube would be all like, you can't put ads on this. So we have Florida man versus Hollywood man.
Okay.
We're going to talk about Florida man first. I'm so sick of this fucking. Come on. There we go. All right. So, starting in Florida, a pantsless man rams a pickup truck into Fort Myer Pharmacy and steals $3,000 worth of drugs. Florida man.
Wow.
Yeah. Here's the picture. Here's some footage of him doing it. Crushing into it. Yeah. All right. In Fort Myers, Florida, a man wearing only a shirt used a pickup truck to ram his way into a pharmacy. The man was... What is this garbage?
Ugh.
Assholes.
Ad placements, web rendering gone wrong.
I know, right? Let's see if we can just make that like a little less impactful. There we go. All right. So the man was working with his full moon exposed and only the moonlight illuminating his way early Sunday morning. Security cameras outside Family Pharmacy and Medical Supply on 6 Mile Cypress Parkway captured the man around 4:45 a.m. Police arrested Aaron Eichbauer, 36, after using fingerprint data to link him to the crime. In the security video, you can see Eckbauer use tools to try and get through the glass wall on the side of the pharmacy. When he failed, he turned to the Dodge Ram pickup truck he brought with him, ramming his way into the building. Wow, said Andrea Pacini. Yeah, that's about right. I've never seen anything like that. Well, yeah.
It leaves an open reference point. I'll just say that.
Their direct quote from her is, wow.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. To what she could be possibly referring.
Right. Once inside, he's accused of stealing $3,000 worth of prescription drugs from the pharmacy, in addition to $10,000 worth of damage to the side of the building. However, police also say the truck he used to break into the building was reported stolen out of Cape Coral. So he stole the truck and drove it all the way down here and then crashed it into a pharmacy to try to get drugs. Well, he successfully got drugs, but you know, uh, well, he had quite a night, said Pasini. Well, yes, he did.
Again, it leaves an open reference, like what she could be referring.
He should know better before he thinks about doing something like that. Well, no shit. Who fucking interviewed these people? Like, what?
I almost question if this is a lampoon site. If I could easily see good
Well, I mean,
SNL
it's from
picking this up.
NBC too.
Oh,
So,
yeah.
he should know better. Thank you, Prinik de Salva. Like, wow. Police found the pickup truck dumped in a nearby apartment complex. Inside, they found fingerprints that matched the fingerprints they found on pill bottles in the pharmacy. Using technology, detectives were able to link Ike Bauer to the crime. His fingerprints were already in the system. Thank you, technology. After arrest records in Lee County show that he's been arrested at least 15 times before, ranging from drug offenses to theft and domestic violence. And then, with the wisdom of the ages, you got busted, dude. Don't do it again, Pasini said.
It's almost like this article is leaving out windows for comedy, because I can see too many, especially around comedy of a questionable nature.
Right? Man, how I'm starting to wonder what kind of drugs Pasini was on when they were interviewing, Like, well, he had quite a night. You got busted, dude. Don't do it again.
I know.
Like, what? Sean Landergan says, in his defense, Dodge shouldn't be named Ram if they didn't want people ramming things. I agree. I mean, think about it. Just saying.
And there you go. That ramming phrasing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if my mind is going to certain places, but it's just like, wow. Anybody with any bit of writing skill can take that and run with it.
Well, given the fact that he didn't have anything but a t-shirt on, I'm curious as to what drugs he stole. Because it couldn't have just been painkillers. Maybe he was like, man, I can't get it up for the hooker. I'll be right back. So he decided, he's going to ram it home into the pharmacy so he can ram it home after the fact. You know what I mean? Vince says 100-year-old technology is still technology, apparently. Well, yes. But thank you, technology. So how did you guys find this guy, technology?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've done my share of background checks because, when you purchase mechanized puppies or mechanized little friends, you have to run your fingerprints every time you make a purchase. So it's like, I don't know who owns it. I don't know if the store has to hold on to it, and I don't know. It's like, hey, I just need to get my mechanized tool. Okay,
my mechanized tool.
Yeah.
Yes.
Anyway.
Vince says he ran out of hemorrhoid cream. Well, that's a bit of an extreme measure. I mean, you could go to Walmart and get some. Gosh. One Man Show says he might have been looking for Cruex or some Gold Bond.
Ooh.
Yeah, maybe.
At a pharmacy? Okay.
Well, guy's been arrested 15 times before, including drugs and thefts. So I'm assuming he's not the brightest bulb in the box. Hail to Boosh McFadden.
I mean, I don't know what you thought when that whole 3 strikes thing happened during the Clinton years, but don't you think, like, hey, man, we've given you X number of chances, maybe a 5th chance, and then it's like, hey, man, you're a menace to society or something's got to give.
How many arrests does it take to actually get classified as like a high risk offender? I mean, 15 times? 15 times is something I'm all like, okay, Like, can we deport him to a different country or something at this point? Where it's like, hey, bro, you just go fuck someone else's stuff up. Okay, hail to Will at Heroic Studios. Been a long time, bro. What up? Hope things are going well. Yeah, Landergan's all like, why is he even on the streets? Because apparently they're a little busy down there. I don't know. They ain't got time. He's currently being held on a $72,500 bond, though. So, hopefully he'll stay away for a little while. I mean, we should watch this video. We should
let's take a look at that.
He had quite a night. Oh my gosh, it has quotes. Hold up.
Let's
dude.
Okay.
Share screen. We're gonna go here. We go also share system audio. Yes, they changed the settings. That was weird. All right, so
well, he had quite a night.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Watch this. A man with no pants used a stolen pickup truck to break his way into a Fort Myers pharmacy. And believe it or not, the story only gets crazier from here. Thank you for watching NBC2. I'm Peter Bush.
And I'm Kyla Gaylor. This happened at the Family Pharmacy and Medical Supply on Burnwood Place Drive in Fort Myers. That's where we find NBC2's Gage Golding.
This man, with his full moon showing, is breaking into the family pharmacy, first trying to tear away boards with tools. Finding no success, he hops in the Dodge Ram pickup and rams his way inside.
Wow. I've never seen anything like that.
Fort Myers police say the man, later identified as...
Look at that face. Doesn't that say honest, trustworthy, and wonderful person?
Hey, you gotta be careful there, Cory. You're profiling.
Oh, yeah. Bush says, what state? Florida, of course.
Where else?
Will says, glad to see you're still grinding. Absolutely, bro. Absolutely. 15 charges and free. Do you need a list? Yes. Did he park in the legal space before entering the pharmacy? Probably not. Just looking at it, you know.
Aaron Eichbauer stole $3,000 worth of drugs from inside, not to mention the 10 grand in damage done to get in. But doesn't stop there. The truck he used to ram into the building was stolen from Cape Coral.
Well, he had quite a night.
He should have known better before
she's not bad looking.
Like that.
Police found the truck done.
He should have known better before thinking about doing something like that. Yes, indeed. Wow. He was such a quiet man. Everybody liked him. Isn't it always that way?
Can't you just look at
I've never seen anything like her bangs.
Are you talking about which one? The Salava or the
Hold on.
The gal who said had quite a night. Yeah.
Let's take a look at this lady's appearance real quick. We got the bangs, the poofy hairs. They got like gold eyeliner going on and the weird eyebrows. She's totally a Floridian. Like, Florida people. Bush says, California and New York all day long. It doesn't make the news. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that is true.
It doesn't make the TV news in Democrat cities unless 3 people died. Yes, and at least 2 of them have to be black as well. Vince Romack says at least he did crash his own car. Got to give him that. It wasn't his own car. He stole it.
No, that's true.
He stole it. Bush says, yes, Cory, deliver me from 1956. I don't know.
As much as I thought about moving to Florida, there are many moments, like especially being in Oregon with the whole masking thing, that it's like, thought about moving to Florida, and it seems like, I don't know if the grass is greener, but I just keep hearing about the hurricane stuff, but that's one of the major flags I have in the back of my mind.
Yeah, a little bit. I think my headphones are shitting out. Saw a dude on a bike get hit by a car by 2 dudes who stole the car, probably in Chicago. News source Twitter. Okay. That's a reliable news source. Bush McFadden says, her hair, Cory, That's some crazy old-looking hair. It is old-looking hair, and it matches perfectly with her very modern face. Let's put it that way. And of course, Florida Man never disappoints, but Vince brought up a point on the Gilded. Make sure that you join the Gilded if you want to catch up on some of those conversations. But this news is coming out of Florida, but it's a Hollywood man story. So technically it's Florida Man, but he's Hollywood Man. And it's because the Hollywood Man accused of torching a car of then girlfriend, who is also his cousin. I'll let that sink in just for a second.
Yeah.
Also his cousin. Girlfriend. Also cousin.
How many degrees? I don't know.
We shall find out.
Yeah, let's go figure that out.
But before we do, let's just talk about how fine and upstanding this man looks. I can't imagine.
Very peaceable.
Yeah, I mean, looks like a standard Californian to me. One Man Show says, "Are we sure this isn't Alabama Man?" I mean, yeah, Florida has some Alabama. Trust me, they get some of that, and they get some of that Alabama down there in the Florida, and they're like, "Woo!"
Yeah.
You get upset at a Walmart, you have to look at your sister and be all like, "Come on, wifey poo, let's get out of here." And that's just how that works. Vince says, "I ask if it counts as Florida Man. I don't think so because he's from Hollywood, and Hollywood is a similar but different brand of crazy." Boosh McFadden says, "Florida also has very relaxed views on what media is allowed to produce." Okay. Floribama is totally a thing. Yes, it is. All right, let's see what this fine, upstanding man did. Miami-Dade police arrested a 37-year-old Hollywood man Wednesday after accusing him of lighting a car on fire in April.
Okay.
Police said the car belonged to Melvin Elaine Crichtons. That's his name, Melvin Elaine
Cintron. He might be like
Cintron.
one. Might be a Hispano mix of some sort.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Then girlfriend, who also appeared, happened to be his cousin. Oy vey. There's a Hollywood, Florida.
Yep.
Is there now?
Yeah, there is a Hollywood, Florida.
Well, then I guess it kind of counts as a Florida man, I guess, right?
Yep.
Shut up, Bush. You don't have to laugh at me. I'm an idiot, okay? It happens. Gosh. My whole day is off kilter. So this is just going to be a regular occurrence, at least for the next 30 minutes. Okay? Good talk. It's in Miami-Dade. I know, but that doesn't mean that they can't be like, this fool was from Hollywood, California. But I don't know these things. I don't care. Whatever. Miami-Dade arrests a lot of people. I write from a lot of different places.
Okay.
Just saying.
I'm
Anyway.
looking at the forward paragraph. She initially lied to investigators.
Yeah. So apparently he was caught on camera lighting a Jaguar XE sedan on fire in front of a home in North Miami. He also left a cell phone behind, because that shows you he's a real bright boy, that one.
Yeah.
Police said they determined soon after that the vehicle belonged to his girlfriend and cousin, but weren't able to interview her until Monday after failed attempts to contact her. So they literally were only able to interview her on Monday after he set her car on fire April 29th.
Yeah.
That tells me this lady didn't want to be talking to people. She initially lied to investigators and told them the car caught fire as she drove home because she feared reprisals from Cintron, who made her put the phone on speaker whenever she spoke to investigators. That sounds about right. The woman told police that she fears Cintron in part because he regularly carries a fully automatic gun with a double drum high-capacity magazine, which she told officers he refers to as a gun's tits, or titties, due to the 2 round drums on the side of the magazine. She told police that Cintron stole her purse and left her stranded in Miami's Bayside Marketplace Friday after the two got into an argument because he thought she was flirting with the bartender. Why you got to do that, cuz?
Well, just, it's like a lot of that article is just filler.
Yeah.
It's like,
it really is.
Well, why did you have to mention that the dude? It's like, well, I guess you're trying to provide reasoning why she wasn't as cooperative to the police, but it's like, yeah, I'm afraid of my then boyfriend because he carries an automatic gun, and he's describing the stuff in details. Like,
yeah,
are you really needing to hit your word count minimums, or you won't get paid as much?
Well, of course.
It's like, that's why I like my news to be short and fresh. Just
right.
Like, give me what's new when it's new. The worst thing I get is hours into a story, they'll have all these pundits on there and they're just echoing the same thing. It doesn't matter which channel you're viewing it on. And that just frustrates me to no end. And one of the reasons why I don't watch the news all that much. I just need the who, what, why, when, and where. That's all I need.
And of course, this guy is being held on a $12,500 bond with charges of second-degree arson and third-degree grand theft. $12,000.
If I may, it's like the two perps are in their mid-30s, and we thought millennials were bad. It's like, bruh, really?
Right.
You're in your mid-30s, and this is what you come up with?
Our generation has never really been accused of being really creative or in-depth researchers, or like we are probably exceptions to these rules.
Yeah.
Just saying. Bush McFadden says he's happy he destroyed my mind today. Well, congratulations. It was already on the path to being destroyed because like I haven't got my workout yet. I've been going since fucking ass crack at dawn. I don't need much more help, Bush. I mean, seriously, bro. Like, it doesn't take much. One man show says, dog bites man, man bites back. That's pretty much how things work. Yeah.
Right.
Bush McFadden says, see, in Hollywood, California, there would be no bail. I don't know. He might be Hispanic mix. They might be like, all right, you can get out. It's fine. Because do they actually even hold people anymore in California, or do they just like cycle them through and just let them go? Because that's what they were doing with the people robbing trains for a while in LA. Was they were like, okay, well, we gave them a summons to appear after stealing $25,000 worth of shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Bush says they cycle them. Yep. I wouldn't be surprised if Miami-Dade does very similar things because they've got to be a busy place.
I'm sure.
Oh, Landrigan says, check the Ko-Fi. Let's check the Ko-Fi. All right.
What's the Ko-Fi?
Oh, Landrigan on the Ko-Fi side says nothing for $15. Well, thank you for the $15, sir. That's awesome. Hell yeah. Always welcome that. Hell yeah. Bush says state and country DA refuses to prosecute.
County.
I see.
Yeah.
See.
Yep.
He corrected it, and I knew that, but dang it, Bush.
No, that's what it's come down to, and it's like I don't even know if Florida has cash bail or anything like that because that's chump change if he has the right people, and just like the last story, chump change if he has the right people around him. And you wonder why he's been 15 times caught?
Yeah. Fractured minds all around. Yeah, like... Have you ever noticed, though, that you don't hear about this shit coming out of, like, Indiana? Because you know that there's probably an Indiana man out there, right? There's probably a Connecticut man out there that's on the same level as Florida Man, but they're like, we got to focus on Florida. And it's because everybody I know wants to like move there and shit, right? So they got to throw some like negative shade over there on it.
Every place has negative shade, and it's just a matter of people willing to be open to that likelihood. Every city has its shenanigans, and being in San Diego for when I was a kid and into my adulthood, yeah, I had an incident back in 04. We were doing a stayover at a family friend's. Next thing you know, I get the story because we saw that my mom's red Nissan 240SX parked in the driveway. We noticed there was a hole in the hood, like, and then the tire was flat. My dad said, "Oh, it's a gunshot wound." And then people were telling me the story about a possible drive-by a few houses down on my parents' Podunk Street, which people wouldn't expect for that kind of just that street. You normally don't get a lot of bad activity, but it just shows like something can happen anywhere. Yeah. Everyone goes to where they want to go to avoid the crazy. You just got to know where the crazy is so you can avoid it, and that's with any town.
Indeed. In my hometown, like if you want to avoid 90% of the crazy, like you stay off Main Street past 9 o'clock because Main Street in my town is literally just a row of bars that ends in a police station.
Oh, okay.
Like, it's like 4 bars and the police station.
Okay.
Like you avoid that area. And then since we also have the interstate running right through the middle of the town, you avoid the bike paths.
Yeah.
Next to the interstate after probably 11:30 at night. Then you don't have much problem because during the daytime, like cops going around and like rounding up all the homeless people and shipping them two towns over, and then like the bars are like still mopping up all the nastiness from the night before, so not too much crazy during the daytime.
Right.
But I tell you, once especially on the weekends, because they do town events where like you're allowed to drink outside for some reason, things get really crazy. It's like, Boosh McFadden says, Corissa, if you're going to use that there northern accent, you got to say Florida, not Florida.
Okay.
Florida.
Now, it was interesting accent. Because
going to use that there northern accent, yeah.
The guy who taught my medical class, he's from Kentucky.
Ooh, buddy.
He admits that he has an instructor's voice and his local voice, his I guess everyday voice, and it was just distinct. He's like, "Oh, there I go again with that." And it's funny because there's another guy who teaches for that company, and he's from the northern end of Kentucky. And the instructor said, "Oh, he doesn't have that filter." Like, okay, so apparently there's a difference in accent between northern and southern Kentuckians.
Oh yeah, I've heard that about a lot of places actually.
Really?
Yeah, like what was it? Tennessee, I guess, has like 2 very distinct difference between both accents and even how they speak English.
Yeah.
It's like South Carolina has its own version of English that no one else can understand in any way. Right. But like in places like that, it's like, okay, well, northern Tennessee, you're going to have proper English. Southern Tennessee, they're going to be all like, man.
Yeah.
And then it's going to sound like Boomhauer from King of the Hill. Vince Romack says, I looked and Indiana man is no fun. Well, that's not surprising. It's Indiana. I mean, come on. Bush says, the further north you travel in Florida, the further south you are, especially... It's a special place. It is because the further south to southern Florida you get, the more Cuban/rich white people it gets.
Oh, okay.
And then northern Florida, you get everybody else that's like, hey, that coastal breeze is nice when you are not down in the panhandle.
That is interesting because I forget because everyone talks about Latin American, this Hispanic, that.
Mm-hmm.
And even within my own milieu, American Asians, Asian Americans, that even within that label, there's very specific regional experiences.
Mm-hmm.
So if you talk to a Cubano will have a very different take than a Mexicano or Mexicana, whatever.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So
It's like the difference between Puerto Ricans
right,
and, you know, Cubans, if you will. They're both
right.
East Coast, like prominently on the East Coast, but they're very different. You
And
know,
I'm just talking about just the experience and how they relate to what they left behind, because
that's the truth.
especially with even in my case, where my family migrated in the 80s, and we were kind of lucky because of the stuff that was paid before my dad arrived in 1980. So we didn't feel any of that. Whatever you might want to fill in the blank, whatever plight that community felt, we ended up being the majority by the time I was in high school. Like in my high school, the Filipinos were the majority, and you guys were the minority.
Yeah, I mean, my middle school here in Colorado was 80% Hispanic.
Yeah.
And, you know, we lived in a ranch town. So it was like, okay, whatever. And then when I moved down here and I saw my first actual like black person, that was crazy. But anyway, it is very different. I'm going to say hello to John Edgar. He says, hello, gents. Sorry I'm late. I'm from Missouri, and our accent is just basic Midwestern, a drawl, but not a harsh one.
But they're quick to say, you don't pronounce it like that. You gotta say Missouri.
Missouri. It's Missouri. It's not Missouri. It's Missouri. Even though, you know, it's still misery. I'm kidding. Maybe not. I don't know. I have a friend who lives in Missouri, and he says it's not too bad most of the time.
Right.
But I don't know what it classifies as like the rest of the time, because do they have seasons, or is it just like wet and dry?
Yeah,
I don't know how Missouri works.
Yeah, I just remember because I was in my bubble in Southern Cal at the time, and I didn't know about the different crime rates, especially when that instructor was telling about how there's the Kentucky mob or the Kentucky organized crime, and especially when they talk about their bourbon. Apparently, there's a place in Kentucky that's the bourbon capital of the world. At least that's been explained to me by two different people now. So it's like, I didn't know that, because we all have these misconceptions about Middle America, and of course we get all the trappings of the coastal Americas, particularly with New York and California, that you think that's where all the hot activity happens.
Right.
Well, it can happen in almost, like I said, in almost any town. Although we might have to delve further into what Indiana man really is and what he really isn't. You know?
Right. We may have to look at that at some point. I meant to click on this one. Upstate New Yorkers do not have that city accent. Oh, and that's something that like New Yorkers get really upset if they're not from New York City and you just assume that they are. Yeah. They're like, oh my gosh, New York is more than just New York City. You know, and you can't look at them and be like, hey, look, all right, just calm down. You're going to give yourself a bad heart and cancer, and then it's just going to be bad for everybody. It's okay to say you're from Brooklyn. All right. Yeah. No, you shouldn't be ashamed.
Yeah.
Bush McFadden says Cubans don't like Colombians. Colombians don't like Puerto Ricans, and none of them like Mexicans. I've never experienced that, but again, I'm not around a lot of Cubans or Colombians in Colorado.
Oh yeah, even among the Asians, it's kind of like that, depending on who you talk to. Like, the Koreans had it bad due to the Japanese, and a lot of people who were Korean told me like they were taught to hate the Japanese because of what happened.
Dude, out here it seems to be like, so we have a heavy population of Koreans, Vietnamese, and Laotian.
Okay.
Here in Colorado, at least in my general area.
Okay.
And like, so the Koreans don't seem to like anybody.
Right.
The Vietnamese don't like the Laotians. Laotians, like, I don't know what they do, but they're just isolated from everybody else.
Right.
They're just like, nah, we're not going to deal with that.
Yeah.
But they all have, and this is not to be super racist, but they all seem to have a serious problem with black people. Like they're like,
oh yeah.
like
I
it.
remember in the mid '90s when I got to touch base with my mom's brother after how many decades not even meeting the guy. That he actually, we were in the car, we're going to some destination. We were talking about basketball, and then and I don't know if it's common there at the time, but he shot an N-word in the car. Being from Southern Cal and like having a bunch of my friends who were black, and it was interesting. Growing up as a kid, we didn't care what we looked like or what pigment or skin color was. You cool? No, let's be friends.
Yeah, that's how it should work, honestly.
Yep.
In my opinion. So Vince Womack sent us over something interesting. This is from 2016, but it's a map detailing the number of mentions of Florida man.
Oh boy.
In the United States, but it also has Ohio man, Texas man, Iowa man, California, Maine, Idaho, Michigan, Missouri. But so, wow.
California man.
Yeah, California man apparently strikes mainly. So this is the number of mentions in the Associated Press average per year between 2000 and 2015. So
Ohio man. Wonder what that's like.
Fuck you, Ohio. Vince says, never mind, The Economist wants you to pay to read their shit. Yeah.
Maybe we can do a quick Google search or whatever engine you use, and you can plug in Ohio man and see what we get.
Right. We could totally do that. I'm gonna do that real quick.
Ohio man.
Ohio.
Argentina crackdown.
It was pretty crazy. They busted that dude with all that
I forgot what movie I was watching. It might have been a Prime show, but it was based off of like some remnant of a Nazi, and he was like in some ritzy resort, and then he ends up getting murdered. I forget the name of the show or movie, but
wow. So I googled Ohio man and news. And like within the last 24 hours, I'm looking at man suspected of murder.
Okay.
So Ohio man suspected of murder is shot by Georgia man.
Oh boy. Rivalry much?
Right? Felony and misdemeanor charges for breaking and entering. There's a lot of Ohio man shit. I mean, let's just click on one and see what's up.
Indeed.
I don't want to cover that. That's the same story over and over again.
Oh, geez.
Okay, great. Ohio man. Yeah, apparently Ohio man just kills people. Because, like, I'm seeing a lot of, like, this man's arrested for stabbing this person's arrested for shooting this person, attempted kidnapping winds up in probation. Like, apparently it's just murder in Ohio. I don't even really, I feel like pulling some of these up because it's all just murder. Oh, okay. Here's an interesting one.
Okay.
Why you do this? just no. Oh my gosh. All right. So 100 turtles seized and man charged with assaulting wildlife officer in Ohio. 100 turtles.
Okay.
Yeah. Keep in mind, I haven't had a chance to read this. So a man suspected of trafficking red ear slider turtles in Cincinnati and hitting a state wildlife officer with his vehicle has been indicted by a grand jury. Wow. So Alonzo Oliver Tucker, 37 of Pennsylvania, was recently indicted in Hamilton County. Disobeyed. I just want to hear about the turtles. Man, they didn't even talk about the turtles.
Yeah, where
charged with 2
Tom
felony
Connors would
assault.
beat him.
Yeah, that they lured me in with the turtles, and then they talk about him hitting someone with it. I mean, that's some clickbait shit. I want to hear about turtles, and they're just talking about
I
fucking
like turtles.
jerks. I like turtles. Indiana Man 2. Indiana Man killed after his grandfather's grenade detonates. Wow. Indiana Man. In the running. Goodness gracious. So apparently crazy is just a widespread epidemic among people. I'm going to do some research for Monday's show to find out what Colorado Man does. Because I'm guessing it's, this man was arrested for being stoned in public.
Oh,
this man was arrested for possession of 3 pounds of fentanyl or some weird shit. Because Colorado has a serious drug issue. I'm just going to say that. I know most places have drug issues, but legit, Colorado, like, the place I live is, like, really big on heroin for some reason.
Okay.
And meth. Like, literally the 2 extremes of the drug spectrum are prominent in the same place here. And I'm all like, how does that work?
Right.
Like, how do they not know who's selling this shit? They're very specialized drugs. It's they should just be able to, like, run around and start, like.
So I was told this, and this is based off, I believe, stories from a guy who worked within the precincts of Tennessee, the same company. So the guy who put together the company was a cop in various roles. And then one of the stories the Northern Kentuckian told me was that there was a history of the cops doing drug seizures for extra money on the side, for their department. So I wouldn't put it past some percentage, don't know how big, how small. Would I be surprised that some of the Colorado law enforcement might be in on it? Maybe.
Bro. So the town that I grew up in, we had this one officer who everyone in town, including his fellow officers and his boss, knew about this, but he would literally pull over people that he knew were holding. He would stop them. They would smoke a bowl at the side of the road with the officer. He would confiscate their shit and he would send them on their way. And then he'd go back on patrol stoned off of his ass. And like, this was a regular occurrence. He would do that with everybody. Hail to Mike from XRL7.
What up, homie?
But yeah, he would literally, like, he'd stop, like, my brother's friends and stuff and be all like, hey, you got that good shit. I know you do. Like, you've been gone for 2 days. I've been paying attention. I'm going to steal your shit. And, like, I've actually had officers do several things like that to me where, like, they show up, they confiscate what I have, and they don't give me a ticket or anything, and then they just leave. Like, I had a really nice pair of brass knuckles once.
Oh, boy.
And the state troopers all like, hey, these are illegal in Colorado. And I'm all like, yeah, I just forgot they were in the car. I'm not apologizing for having them or anything like that. I'm just like, yeah, I forgot I had them in the car. What are you going to do? And he's all like, well, I'm going to have to confiscate these. I'm like, great. That means I'm getting a ticket. He puts them in his pocket. And he's like, you guys have a great day. Don't speed anymore. And he gets in and he just leaves. And I'm like, that motherfucker just stole my brass knuckles.
Yeah.
Like, he just stole my brass knuckles. What? Man.
I don't know, man.
He's like...
It's strange because, it's funny with people and their causes. Okay? We'll take world hunger, for example.
Yeah.
Okay? So, especially when I think about the killing of ingenuity in this country. I don't know about around the world, but this overvaluation of education. I like the fact I did go to my college. I did complete the 4-year program. I did try to get another degree. But at the end of the day, Are you able to put a roof over your head? Are you able to pay your bills? And it's like, nobody's teaching people how to be street smart. Now, going back to the whole drug thing, it's like, well, you need to buy food to get food, or you need to be able to learn how to forage and whatever for food. It's like, how I try to tell my ex this. It's like, our differences are only a problem if we let it be a problem, and a problem
Right.
in a certain way, right? If it's irreconcilable. So it's like, what can the city do? And what can we as a culture do? Because there might be some properties there for certain drugs, and I think it's just a matter of, don't get me wrong, in a perfect world, we wouldn't be doing drugs. But if we acknowledge that there are some therapeutic properties for certain drugs,
Yeah.
how do we allow that to thrive, both on a personal, societal level, and then the civil level with how does a city gain or stand to profit from that circulation?
Well, see, there's a weird part. So, like, Colorado has been collecting taxes on the marijuana industry for
Okay.
several years now, right?
Okay.
And they've actually run into issues applying said funds to what they're supposed to go
Okay.
support and towards, right?
Okay.
Because they're running into federal statutes where if they use the money from the drug industry to improve the schools and the roads, then they are no longer eligible for federal grant money to maintain the schools and the roads, right?
Yeah.
So it's literally sitting there. Billions of dollars are just fucking sitting there because they can't do anything about it because the federal government is still a tight ass.
Well, what about engaging private industry?
Oh my gosh. My big thing is, like, if it's a 60% tax.
Oh, okay.
And it's all just sitting there.
Right.
How has all of the lawyers that we know exist within the political realm not figured out how to, like, either use that money or are those just fake figures and everybody's been lining their pockets? Because there's a lot of, like, the guy that's the people that are in charge of actually enforcing Colorado's drug policies and stuff with marijuana have two very common things that they do. And that's they collect money and they shut down businesses. That's literally all they do. And almost at the same time, like, I've seen some where they'll go in and, like, they'll be like, you're behind on your whatever filings, and they'll collect the shop's earnings, and then they'll literally put a stop work order on the door for violation of Colorado statutes. And so it's like, okay, how is this not, like, not racketeering? How is this not what the fuck is it called? My brain is breaking.
Embezzling or laundering?
No, it's where you go in and you shake people down for money. I can't remember what it's called, but I feel like that's what it is.
Okay.
It's literally just what the mob used to do for protection money.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, extortion. There you go.
Yeah. Okay.
Extortion.
All right.
Hey, yes. Extortion. See, he knows. XRL7 says, side note, that Batman Joker pick of Cory's reminds me of the 1989 Batman Atari Amiga game where your life bar is Batman's face, and as you take damage, it turns into Jack Nicholson's Joker face. Oh, that's cool. Huh. John Edgar says, like the IRS does? Yes. The extortion like the IRS. That's exactly right.
I mean, that's how, going back to that whole federal thing, the tie, that's how they get you. It's like when you want this aid? Well, we'll give you the aid. You just can't exceed this minimum. And so people are in a catch-22 where, hey, I want to do better for myself, but I'll lose this program. And so it's like, just like Colorado, like I said about, hey, maybe you collaborate with some private industry and not worry about the federal funding, or at least
the way the regulations are in place, it screws so much shit up. It's crazy.
All right. Yeah.
And yeah, Vince Womack says 2 weeks ago, U.S. officials recommended moving marijuana to a lower drug risk classification. Yeah, so they moved it from a class 1 to a class 3 is what they're doing. And what the difference is, class 1 has absolutely no use outside of intoxication, according to their classification system. Class 3 has medical applications that they will recognize. It's going to be regulated by the FDA, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a move in the right direction. And a lot of people are like, well, there's still a huge gap between making it a class 3 and having it meet up with state statutes regarding recreational use and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the problem there is they have to go through the process of getting it into a class 3 controlled substance, because that's the same classification as alcohol, I believe.
Okay.
So it's a step in the right direction. Once they declassify it as medical use only and they bring it into a general public use kind of legislative standing, then it'll be easier for like prices to go down, taxes will be less, et cetera, et cetera. But the problem most people see with the class 3 is now it moves into the area where the federal government can possibly call in their copyright / trademark and patent that they own on marijuana. Because the U.S. government actually owns the patent for THC.
Oh, okay.
So if they called that in, then they could literally tax it for whatever they want. They could do 170% tax on weed. They could, all kinds of crazy shit if they wanted to. But yeah. And this is the thing. He says, prove that it isn't as impairing as alcohol. I know I have a harder time after smoking.
Oh, okay.
And see, there's the thing is alcohol, you can usually predict how it's going to mess with somebody. Right. They get drunk. They go through the stages of being drunk.
Right.
And then, but with weed, it's almost completely based on your body chemistry.
Right.
And this is something a lot of weed smokers don't like talking about, and et cetera, et cetera. Is the fact that when you smoke weed, your individual neural pathways are going to be affected differently than the individual pathways of another person. That's why some people have been known to get aggressive on weed, the exact polar opposite of what most people say happens on weed. Some people get headaches from smoking certain types of weed. Some people, it all depends on your personal body makeup. And then you also have to look at the fact of its solubility into fats and water content of your body, how much it's going to affect you. Alcohol, you can protect yourself against the effects of alcohol by eating. You can't do that with weed. If you eat before you smoke, you're still going to get just as high, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah. And this is another thing. He says, I don't get high, has no effect. Bullshit. And that's exactly right. Weed will always get you high. The people who don't get affected by weed are the individuals who have such a high tolerance, they need it to feel normal. That's another part where I fucking vary from the broader stoner culture and mindset as well, is the fact that they say it's not a dependency. It doesn't develop a dependency. And that's not true. It develops a psychological dependency in the fact that many pot smokers need to smoke weed in order to feel normal. They need it for their appetite. They need it for their sleep schedule. They need it so they're not assholes. The withdrawal is the issue, not the high. And that's where most potheads run into it, is they'll smoke weed and then the next day or they'll have to go a week without it. And then they're a raging douchebag because they don't understand what's going on. And it's the fact that their body is trying to compensate for the lack of a chemical that it has become used to having. And THC fills certain neural pathways that the body would normally fill with other things. But since it doesn't, since you're not getting that THC, your body's not actually producing those other things as much anymore. So then it starts to just totally fuck everything up.
See, that's the thing, like, because here in Oregon, it's like Colorado. It's legal, and
Mhm.
I knew. I don't know if it was last year's ballot or some year's ballot or whatever, however long ago it was, but I remember reading that they had something on the ballot about hard drugs. Now, I think it passed, not sure if it did or not, but
Mhm.
I believe, according to the news, it passed. But it's just like, okay, now that you've done that, do you know what you're going to do? Because at least when you put something on a ballot, and I know they try to do it in those guides, like what's going to happen if it passes. Mostly on a fiscal and maybe civil level, but then a
Right.
societal level, not much is made. So that's the trick of it all. But out here, like just if I walk into my podunk downtown, my little town, I have a CBD shop, and it's very tempting because
Right.
if I could, I don't. They say that it's not supposed to have the qualities whatever THC does, but that was the major tagline
Yeah.
about CBD shops is they don't have the THC, which does whatever. But I wouldn't mind some extra pain relief if I can avoid going to like
Well,
a doctor or something like that. You know?
and here's okay. So before I get to XRL7's comment regarding the classification of it,
Sure.
I will touch on that real quick. It's actually been shown recently that the THC levels and the CBD levels have absolute jack shit to do with how
Okay.
well it actually provides the medical benefits.
Okay.
CBD is a cannabinoidal that acts as a transmission or a carrying vessel for the actual products inside that benefit people, and these are called terpenes. And
Okay.
what the terpenes are, there's like 36 different terpenes, 12 to 36 depending on what you're
Okay.
looking at, but each one of them is a naturally occurring substance that you would also find in other things. Like
Okay.
there's limonene, which is a citrus based kind of like an antioxidant kind of thing.
Sure.
It also helps with energy production levels, stuff like that. And those are the things that CBD allows the body to accept. And instead of just focusing on the terpenes, they're focusing on THC, which is the psychoactive portion, and the
Okay.
CBD, which is the transporter or whatever you want to call it, when they should be focusing on terpene content. And it's
Okay.
really complicated to get into terpenes and stuff, but they're actually really more important than any of the other crap that people talk about with weed. You know,
Okay.
especially, you know, like the flavors and stuff that everybody's always like, oh my gosh, it's so aromatic. It's got a nice citrus smell and stuff. Those are the terpenes. That
Yeah.
has nothing to do with anything but the terpenes. And that's where most people run into a wall, is like the science of terpenes is incredibly complicated.
Okay.
But now, so XRL7 said jump from class 1 to class 3. Why did they jump class 2? So a class 3 medication is listed as a medical as a substance that has medical applications without the risk of developing dependency or addiction. Class 2 has medical properties but has a high risk of developing dependency and
Okay.
addiction. So a class 2 medication is Oxycontin,
Oh yeah.
morphine, stuff like, well, morphine is only a class 2 because they refuse to make it a class 1. I know it has pain killing benefits and stuff like that, but it destroys your mind. But anyway, hail to Fat Steven Seagal, Wolverine Snicket, and Jester of Sin over on the Rumble side here. Hail, hail. Today's show ran a little bit longer than I was planning on, but we did get into a lot of stuff that, you know. Let's see. So Vince says, can I drop a link to a CBD shop from someone within our sphere? Drop it in the Gilded. I wouldn't put it in the chat here just because you don't know how YouTube is going to be with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
John Edgar says, I had a cousin who sadly got colon cancer when we were both in our 20s, who used to deal with pain way before it was used it to deal with pain before it was legalized in Missouri. He died when we were 26. Rest in peace, Kevin. Yes, rest in peace, sir. And cancer users, like cancer patients that use this stuff, I definitely wouldn't hold anything against them for,
of course,
like smoking fat blunts and shit. Like, honestly. Bush McFadden says JFK and 9/11 truthers who are stoned get furious when you give them information that doesn't mesh with their worldview. Yes, they do. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and close it out here. I am cooking a brisket, so I am going to go check on that. But in the meantime, yeah, I'll let Lester say his P's and Q's and whatnot. So, hey, bro, what's up?
Hey, thanks, guys. Appreciate Cory for at least giving us the option to hang out and just interact in real time. And
hell yeah.
My channel is supposed to be multidisciplinary or multi-whatever topic, but I've lately been focusing on gaming. I may talk about something else, like there's that thing in New Mexico that people are fighting, and there's been pushback, and I want it to be funny, but at the same time serious, because I think people are losing the fruit of word application. So taking a word meant for organisms and taking it to non-organisms, that kind of chaps my hide. So that's all I'll say for now before something might happen via YouTube.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us. A couple of announcements about the week to come. I will be here Monday morning for another Cory's Corner, and Monday evening for Hail to Nate D. But so Tuesday there will not be a Cory's Corner because I'm going to pick up a load of antique furniture that my wife and I are going to restore together. That's our next fun project. I know One Man Show Wong. I've fallen behind on all of my production work because this transition is not going as smooth as I'd like it to. It's almost as bad as sexual reassignment therapy, but yeah. The last comment I will get to before we get out of here is from One Man Show. He said, Monday is National Cheeseburger Day. Should anyone be thrilled by this? If you make your own cheeseburgers, then yes. If you're going out to Burger King or McDonald's, no.
If it's the 39-cent cheeseburger, maybe.
39-cent cheeseburger.
Oh my God, that was the thing. I lived off of those when you were a kid, man. Oh my God.
Anyway, so okay. He says working together with your wife or girlfriend is so great. Oh wow. And then over on the Rumble side, Fat Steven shot us $1 and says, hi, Cory. Hi, you didn't have to give me $1. I would have said hi anyway. And hello to the Cavalryman Che. Wonderful to see you. Anyway, so ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to bounce. I'm going to go check on my brisket and then go do my workout because my body is screaming at me to do my workout. So I'm going to go do that. But anyway, stay sexy. Don't get murdered. And as always, have a wonderful time. Bye-bye.
Peace.